Welcome back to the channel, guys. So today I wanted to talk about something that has been plaguing gaming for a long time. That is game-breaking bugs. So I'm a big retro gamer, but I also play current gen systems as well. I've never missed a generation. I'm just a gamer. I play everything, but I do have that soft spot in my heart for old school games. And when I was reading this article on Nintendo Life yesterday, it started to make me think about stuff because I had this perception that not just with Nintendo, but a lot of other companies back in the day with old school systems, that they put a lot more time and effort making sure they launched games that didn't have game breaking bugs, that worked out of the box, that were complete. And in all honesty, that's not true, but there could be some shred of truth to it. I do think developers back in the day, they made sure they finished their games because there was no other option to. Nowadays, we have companies who they don't necessarily finish their game before the disc is pressed. There's DLC, there's updates, there's all sorts of stuff to complete that game that you have to download. You have to be connected to the internet in order to do so. Now, with this article, they're talking about how Nintendo fixed a game-breaking bug in Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story for the 3DS. So according to this, if you lost Mario from your party in the Nimblewoods area of the game and then went back a screen to save your progress, the game would glitch out. Luigi would not be able to move beyond that area. I don't know about you, but if I bought this game when it released, which it released a few months ago from what I remember, and I experienced this, I did whatever it took to make this bug happen to where my save file, the hours I put into it, were just wasted, I would be pissed. I definitely would be pissed. Now, did it take a while for Nintendo to address this? Sure, but it is addressed. Back in the day, there were a lot of game-breaking bugs I was never really aware of. I've never actually experienced a game-breaking bug before. Glitches, yes. From, the NES, Super Nintendo, all the way to current generation stuff, I have experienced glitches, but game-breaking bugs, not so much. But just a basic Google search of old school games that had game-breaking bugs, there was a lot of them. And a lot of them are games that I had played. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Link's Awakening, Skyward Sword, Bubble Bobble Revolution. There's so many, tons of them, not just Nintendo games, but games from every console from the 2600 and up had games that were released with game-breaking bugs. And that definitely sucks because back then there was nothing you could do about it. The company would have to recall their game, and that had happened a few times from my knowledge. That's a lot of money wasted, spent and wasted to fix a problem that should have never happened to begin with. But with a situation like this with Mario and Luigi, I've always thought, hey, Nintendo puts a lot of effort and time into making sure their games are complete. Even with today's day and age, with the Nintendo Switch, with the 3DS, I do feel Nintendo puts out, for the most part, complete games. If they offer DLC and stuff like that later, it doesn't really take away from that core experience. The core experience is still there. It's not that you have to dish out this extra money to experience the full game. It's more just added content, and I'm all for that. I'm not for companies, selling a game and then you got to spend another $60 to $100 to actually experience the full game. You're getting, duped into, multiplayer only games with very little content that costs 60 bucks, and then you got to pay out the ass to actually get more content for it. That's not what I'm for. But the thing with my perception of old school games and current generation stuff, I do feel I have taken for granted the way these developers can approach things. I'm grateful that Nintendo can fix a problem if it's found, because there's always been bugs and glitches that have slipped through the QA testers, that have slipped through the developers' hands, that just by chance somebody discovered because it was so off the wall and it could break the game. And now these guys can fix that with updates. But that brings me to the next part of the problem here. It's not something I want to say that I'm extremely worried about because, am I a collector? In a way, yes, but I have a very small collection of games for each system that I own. I don't go overboard. Other than, I'll be honest, the Nintendo Switch and the PS4, I do have way too many games for, but that's neither here nor there, I guess you would say, whatever the hell that means. But I don't really fancy myself a collector. I don't go out and just buy games to buy games. I buy games that, I have some kind of nostalgia for, or games that I think I'm going to play. Keyword think, right? So maybe I am a collector. I don't know. But what I want to get at is like, what about people who do collect games, hold on to them for so long, or maybe somebody who becomes interested in a game in the far future that was released in present time and they want to play it, and now the service for updates is no longer available. The Nintendo 3DS is on its last legs of life here. I mean, don't get it twisted. It is an awesome little handheld. It's been out for a long ass time. And with the Switch and the success of it, and a lot of people using that in handheld mode as a portable, the 3DS is definitely on its way out. A lot of stores aren't selling the games anymore or have shrunk down their selection of games. And it's just a matter of time when Nintendo shuts off the services available on the 3DS. I'm sure that's not going to be for a while, but that time will come at some point, and people will not have those updates available to them in the typical sense, the official source through Nintendo with their online services. Nintendo will cut this stuff off. Every company will cut off support for their games at some point and in the future. I mean, is there a reason to hold on to this stuff? I think so, but a lot of companies don't really care about the past. They just want to keep moving forward, make that money, release games. And with stuff like this, with games that require updates to fix game-breaking bugs or updates that complete the game and make it something you can actually play all the way through, those things are making where collectors are buying games that are just going to be there to be on a shelf, that they're not whole, they're not games that can be completed, they're not games that have all the content that was available for it. So I think, this discussion's kind of shifting in a different direction here, that the future of gaming, the future of collecting is going to be very different. We're supposedly going to be going all digital at some point in the future. It's not a reality I want to believe in, but I know it's going to happen at some point. I don't embrace that. I'm kind of person who likes to buy physical games. I feel like I have some kind of ownership when I actually have that cartridge or that disc in hand. When it's just a digital download, I feel like, well, I can't do nothing with this but play it. I mean, that's what games are meant for. So to me, that's my personal preference, but there's no right or wrong answers since games are meant to be played. There are people who hoard games, and, am I guilty of that? Maybe a little bit on some things, but not as a whole as far as just buying everything out there. I buy too much as far as Switch games goes and PS4 games because I think I'm going to play the damn games. I've bought, a decent little collection of Neo Geo games, and I've played them all, but those are games that, hey, as long as they work, they'll still be able to be played. But with the current generation of games going into that future, it's going to be less and less likely that those physical games are going to be worth a damn. That you're not really going to be able to play them to their fullest extent, and that's a future I'm not looking forward to. And I really wish companies would really spend the time, make sure their games are complete. First off, this whole thing could go into the direction of, well, DLC content, paying for extra stuff for games, paying for a complete experience. How many times are multiplayer only games put out there, and then you got to buy all these map packs, and they're fairly bare bones to begin with, and then throughout the course of the first year of the game being released, you can dish out money to buy extra content for it. I wouldn't even consider it extra content with how much content was originally on the game, but that might also be subjective to some as well. And the future is definitely going to be a different place with collecting, with the way developers continually approach things. With all digital, is it going to matter if there's updates? Even with this specific example with this 3DS game, when that service is cut off and you can no longer update it, there will be crafty individuals who know how to get that update or have it archived somewhere and be able to install it on their system to fix that issue, either on original cartridge, emulation, whatever the heck the case may be. So, really now thinking about this could be an hour-long discussion with emulation, preserving gaming, collecting, all that kind of stuff. But I don't want to go into all that. I feel like I've spoke my mind to what I was thinking on this. Maybe kind of, went into a few different paths here, but really do appreciate what, you guys hanging out with me. Smash that like button. Make sweet ass love to that notification bell. Let me know what you think about all this stuff. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. With that said, guys, I will catch y'all next time. Peace out, bye-bye, and boom. Bye.